So you are playing Overwatch, but you can't climb in the competitive. Every time you lose, it's not because the other team was very good. You lose because your team was so bad that you just couldn't do anything. Your tanks couldn't tank, healers wouldn't heal, and the DPS weren't killing anyone. Also, having a leader half of your games and the other half having some toxic players that prioritize arguing over winning doesn't help you climb either. And every game feels like a coin toss. You either get a bunch of noobs and get stomped on, or it happens to the opposing team. If that's the case, then you are among millions of players that are stuck in what's called Elo hell. I myself have a platinum rank, so if you clicked on this video hoping to see some pro talking and giving you tips, then this is not the right video for you. Achieving a really high rank in Overwatch is not what I did, but I did something that is actually even harder to do. I formed a strong set of rules that allowed me to climb from 1400 SR, which is bronze, up to platinum, and almost all of it I did in solo queue. And that's something that most high-ranked players have never experienced. They never played in such a chaotic environment as low ranks in solo queue. They never played it, they never climbed in it, and all their tips are something like, oh, just get good and you'll climb. If someone tells you that just by getting good you can climb an Elo hell, bad news pal, that's not the case. However, even though it's a coin toss, there are ways to increase your chances of winning. I've set myself a few rules, or even sets of rules, that allowed me to have 60 to 70% win rate on each of my main heroes. And today I wanna share these rules with you and to give you an understanding how to actually climb up the ranked ladder. My first and the most important set of rules is about communication. As you've probably noticed, most games in lower ranks aren't lost, they're thrown. Somebody just decides that his team doesn't deserve to win. Sometimes they do it completely unjustified. And if I would need to describe the Overwatch community in just one word, I would say triggered. Pretty much everything you say in the chat may trigger someone and he will just throw the game. And therefore, here is my first rule. Communication is evil. Don't try to talk to your team more than they can take. If from the start you see that they are friendly and experienced players that know what's up and make jokes, they don't tell someone to switch the first second of the game, then they probably can take a lot of communication. They can benefit from you calling shots, telling them that there is a flanker behind you and so on. But if you see that your teammates are not friendly and are not smart players, for example Zarya that holds your ultimate for like 4 minutes straight instead of comboing it with Hanzo, if that's the type of teammates you got, you better shut up and leave the talking. Teammates like this won't take advantage of your comms, they have a mind of their own, and if in their mind they are following some strategy that only they know, even if their strategy is dumb, you won't make them change that strategy by constantly telling them what to do. If they can't talk to you or follow your lead and do what you think is best for the team, then you better keep quiet. If you will annoy them with your comms and tactics while they have no idea what do you want from them, they might throw, and that's something that you wanna avoid. The least you talk to your team, the better. Rule number 2. Don't tell anyone to switch. Now, some people might ask, what the fuck am I talking about? Overwatch is a game where switching heroes is a core of the game and you can counter all the heroes simply by switching the hero, right? If that's how you think, then I got a bad news for you. You can only counter heroes while playing heroes that you personally good at. But we're gonna discuss picks a bit later. And now we are talking about telling others to switch, right? The point is, most players play heroes that they have the most fun with. And everyone has fun only when he wins. And that means that everyone is trying to play heroes that they are best at. So let's say that somebody instalogs Genji and you see that his win rate is like 30% on that hero. And then your first reaction can be like, oh dude, can you pick Reinhardt instead? But the problem here is that this particular player is a Genji main, not Reinhardt. When he plays Genji, he at least knows what his abilities do. How silly it sounds, right? So even if he plays like shit, he at least tries to do something. And since he probably saw pro Genji players play on YouTube, he has some kind of understanding how to play Genji. And now on the other hand, if you will somehow convince him to switch off his main and play on a hero that he has no clue how to play, you basically play 5v6. I'm telling you from the experience that you have much higher chance of winning with 6 DPS heroes, alright? Not 3, not 4, 6 DPS heroes if the 6 players are all maining their heroes. Rather than a meta composition while everyone is playing hero they hate and not good with. But even the fact that most of the time trying to force someone off his main will make him throw, it already has to bury all of your desire to even try to do that, alright? Rule number 3. Block toxic players. Now, who are toxic players in my opinion? It's people who annoy your own team with their communication and have an extremely strong chance of tilting your team into throwing. How do you identify them? Easy. There are 2 buzzwords that they unavoidably use every single game. These words are useless and switch. If you see someone is saying one of them, tell in the chat that you are blocking them and propose to everyone else to do the same. But do it gently and as non-aggressive as possible. Because, as I said, Overwatch community is more triggered than feminists. Nobody needs to hear their voice. Nobody needs to read their triggered text. Nobody needs to respond to them because then the chances of tilting your team into losing grows even higher. Whenever they know that nobody can hear all their screeching they produce with their mouth, they actually have a chance to shut up and start playing. I personally think that the term Elo Hell exists because of these players, because nobody enjoys playing a game where every single match there is someone who hurts his own team. If you reduce the chances of tilting your team, but the opposing team isn't doing the same, and they don't block their toxic players, then you already have an upper hand. You might think that these rules about communication are silly, but I fucking guarantee you that once you follow them, you will start climbing. But obviously just not throwing is not enough to keep winning consistently, and that's where we get to our pick tips. Now, I tried all sorts of picks and strategies. I tried to be a flex role, which basically means that I was forced to play the Reinhardt or Lucio. Problem here is that playing an anchor tank or a support in Elo Hell solo queue just doesn't work. These heroes rely on the team too much. It's unacceptable for someone who wants to climb consistently. Maybe it would work in higher ranks, but not here. Low ranks are way too chaotic for Reinhardt and support mains. Now, what about backline damage heroes like McCree and Soldier? McCree is one of my favorite heroes, but unlike my mains, I only have 51% win rate on him. And it doesn't matter how cool I chain headshots and how reliably I confirm my kills, it just doesn't affect the game outcome, and that's because of flankers. Yes, flankers in Overwatch carry games, and since in lower ranks, everyone has a tunnel vision and nobody can see some cheeky reaper that sneaks up behind you. Nobody protects the backline from flankers, and that's why playing backline DPS doesn't work either. It's of course a lot better than supports or Reinhardt, but still not enough. Now, if tanks don't work, supports don't work, and even DPS do not work, then what's left? Flankers. Yep, that's the answer. That's the type of heroes that allow one player to affect the game outcome out of any proportion. This is the type of heroes that can tilt the enemy team, since countering flankers requires team play, and that's something that you won't normally see in lower ranks. And since there is no team play, you'll be able to consistently kill everyone, and then they will blame each other for not countering you. But if you wanna play a flanker, then which one? Who are flankers anyways? For me, a hero that I call a flanker has to meet 3 requirements. First one, high mobility. A good flanker absolutely has to have some sort of way to cover large distances and come from unexpected directions. If you can constantly appear somewhere behind the enemy team in the right moment, you will be able to kill supports and backline DPS, and if you'll keep doing this for the entire match, you will eventually win most of the time. The second requirement is damage. A good flanker absolutely has to be self-reliant in that regard. You can't just hope that someone else will kill the highest value targets. You gotta do it yourself. More than that, you gotta be able to kill the entire team within short amount of time with either your fire or your ultimate. That's why Sombra, for example, isn't a good solo queue hero. Even though I really like her, she relies on her team to deal damage. And as I said, you can't do that. Sombra can only kill 1 or 2 each team fight. And that's just not enough considering the fact that your team won't deal any damage to anyone. Only pick heroes that are actually scary not because of their utility like Sombra, but because of their damage. Reaper, for example, can shred everyone with his shotguns and kill the entire team in like 2 clips. And if that's not enough, he also has a sick ultimate that, if used in the right moment, just kills everyone. Junkrat has some insane damage on his weapon, if you can hit your shots of course, and has an ultimate that requires some skill to counter. Junkrat is a good flanker hero. The third requirement is that a good flanker has to have some sort of self-sustain. Reaper can need souls, Tracer can rewind, that's the most obvious too. But there are also flankers in the 10 category, Winston and D.Va. They have a large HP pool and no ability to somehow regen it. If they don't get healed, then their best bet is trying to heal off the health packs. But since their HP pool is so large, it's gonna take you too long to get to full HP. And that's why Winston and D.Va aren't good solo queue flankers. On the other hand, Junkrat, that I have about 60% win rate, has only 200 HP pool, which means that in just one big health pack he gets to full HP. And yes, it is very important because when you realize that you got 2 supports on your team, but Mercy is running with a pistol all the time for some reason, and Ana isn't even trying to heal you at 20 HP when you stand right next to her, you'll see how big of a deal it is. So the heroes that I strongly recommend for climbing in solo queue Elohel are Reaper the Street Sweeper, Tracer the Cancer, Genji the Kenji, Pharah the Annoying Shithole, Junkrat and Mei. All of them are extremely strong. All of them have some sort of mobility and all of them either can heal themselves or use their mobility to get to health packs. But, one big fucking but. You gotta be good at the hero you choose. Not just kinda good. No, just having a gold damage and kills is not enough. You gotta be so good that your enemies will tell you that you carried the game, or just accuse you in cheating. That's what you want. That's the level of mastery you want to achieve. Just picking a hero that supposedly has to fit in the composition and presumably will counter someone on the enemy team won't work unless you are really good at that hero. And if you aren't good enough on the hero you choose, you're not supposed to climb. Being average won't help you climb. You'll be stuck in the same rank forever. So getting good is a must. Sometimes you'll run into a good flanker player on the enemy team, and the deciding factor which team will win, it's gonna be pretty much, will you kill the enemy team more efficient that he kills yours? That's what the game is gonna come down to. Now, how do you get good at any hero? There are 2 things that you gotta do. First off, you gotta see how the best players play on that hero. So when I wanted to learn to play Tracer, I was watching the player with the nickname Soon, a pro player that mains Tracer. And then I've learned a ton of tricks from just watching what he does. How to throw off everyone's aim, how to have the biggest impact from the ultimate, how to blink and get somewhere vertically and so on. There is a lot of stuff that you can learn just by watching pro players that know all ins and outs on the hero and taking notes. But obviously just watching won't help you too much. You gotta build up some experience with those heroes. And you can do it only by playing with them, and playing a lot. Now, some people would say that they will learn all of these heroes at once and they will just switch between them trying to counter the enemy team. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to pick just one of them and play him like 20 games in a row. Regardless of composition, regardless of the map. As you can see in the video, I picked Reaper on defense on Anubis, which is vertical map. And a lot of players were telling me that Reaper is useless here. However, because I played Reaper on Anubis a lot of games, I know that this is not true. I know how to use this map in my favor. I know how to play against my counters, and that's why I climb. There will never be a perfect scenario for any hero. There will be always someone who can counter you, and if you will switch every time you struggle, you won't learn anything. So one trick in a hero, until you see that you can win matches on the regular basis, is the way to get good, and is the way to get higher on the competitive ladder. Over a few hundred of hours that I was playing Overwatch, I had a ton of trolls, leavers. I've played with probably the worst players in the entire player base. At least that's what I feel. But setting myself a strategy, setting these rules and following them helped me to climb over 900 SR. As I said, I've only gotten into Platinum while climbing from Bronze. If you think that I'm not qualified enough to give you any tips about it, you can just ignore whatever I said. But I made this video for people that, like me, that were trying to do everything to win the game but couldn't because of specific of the Overwatch player base, which are fucking triggered retards. Anyways, I hope I helped some of you guys.